2 weeks into the Tour de France and everything's starting to become clearer, but nothing is yet set in stone. We've got mountains and that unusual final time trial still to come. And before we get to that, this week in the Gruppetto, Mark Cavendish and Biniam Girmay join us. We also have Alison Jackson to talk Giro, Olympics and Tour. Plus, we've let Hannah loose at the controls of the VAR. Whatever next? Well, first up, we review the racing.
The Tour de France resumed with a kind of extension of the first rest day. Geraint Thomas called it the easiest ever of the 250-plus Tour stages he'd ridden. It all ended with a bunch sprint in Saint-Amand-Montrond, and after having tried and failed until this point, it was Jasper Philipsen who got his squad's first win of the race, and maybe launching a second-week charge for the green jersey. The halfway point in the 111th Tour brought what had been billed as a breakaway bonanza stage in the Massif Central. 211 kilometres, loads of climbing with undulation all day long. Romain Bardet enjoyed the day. Despite being dropped well before the finish, he was on home roads and saying goodbye. Tadej Pogačar did the same to the peloton, attacking with over 30 kilometres still to go. At first, it seemed that Jonas Vingegaard, Primož Roglič and Remco Evenepoel were struggling, but if the latter took time to get going behind, the other two worked together on the early slopes of the following climb. Then, the defending champion, with all the doubts as to whether he'd even make the start of the race after his Basque Country horror crash, really got into his groove. Rog ended up chasing with Remco, Vingegaard reached Pogačar, and we had two groups of two, separated by around half a minute. The top two took on the final descent before a 700-metre section uphill to decide the stage.
Pogačar trying to come around, Vingegaard's holding it needs another effort. Vingegaard, so good, Vingegaard to the line, and look at that!
Up until that point in his career, Poggi had never lost a two-up sprint. But even though there was also perhaps the hint of an error in fueling, this seemed to suggest a slight momentum shift to his Danish opponent. Just a single second taken back in the GC, but all the hope of being very much in the mix. One challenge seemed as though it could be waning, however. Roglič crashed at the bottom of the last descent, and although given the same time as Evenepoel with the application of the 3-kilometre rule, things started to change. Now, if that was disappointing, the next day there was devastation for Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe. A crash in front of Roglič this time, on the way into Villeneuve-sur-Lot, took the Slovenian star down, and although he finished having taken a time loss, he would be unable to start the day after. Simply a shocking stroke of bad luck. There was no luck in Biniam Girmay's third big sprint win as he tightened his grip on the green jersey. And yet again, there was jubilation on the streets of Asmara. The riders turned up for stage 13, taking in the news that the Big Four had suddenly become the Three Musketeers, before crosswinds made for a fast and furious day on the way to Pau. What would finish as the 8th fastest Tour de France stage of all time saw Adam Yates make it into an early split, briefly worrying the rest of the GC squads. That split was stitched back together, but further groups forming in the final part of the race meant that not everybody who would have wanted made the final sprint. When it came, it was messy, but out of the chaos and crashes emerged Philipsen once more to take his second win of the Tour. The weekend arrived, and so did the mountains. A double header in the southwest of France, starting with a Pyrenean battle to Pla d'Adet, a climb steeped in Tour legend since its introduction 50 years ago. On that occasion, it was the late, great Raymond Poulidor who put on a show for the final time in his career, dropping the then yellow jersey Eddy Merckx on his way to a 7th and last stage win at the age of 38. No surprise, therefore, to see his grandson, the current world champion Mathieu van der Poel, fighting his way into the break on the way to the final climb. To get there, the riders took on the mighty Tourmalet and the Ourcq d'Ancizan, with UAE Team Emirates continuously controlling. A small advantage at the foot of the final climb negated any real chance that those up the road would have of a stage win, although Ben Healy would give it a good go. He was still up the road when Adam Yates attacked. But with the Briton always looking around, you felt that somebody might be getting set to join him. That expected jump from Pogačar came, and the GC fireworks were lit. Vingegaard tried to follow, Evenepoel too, the moves and the mountain putting everybody in their place. The Slovenian Giro winner bridged to Yates. His teammate gave him a brief rest, and then he was off again, putting more time into his rivals. Crosswind chaos had been followed by mountain madness. The first day in the Pyrenees belonged to Pogačar, a second stage win of the race, a new record time on the final climb, and a healthy time difference to Vingegaard, who saw any momentum gained earlier in the week slip away. Almost 2 minutes separated the top two rivals going into the final stage of the second week. Stage 15, however, was a day that on paper suited the Dane better. Almost 5,000 metres of climbing, 5 times first category or more ascents in a day. The sort of challenge that had seen Vingegaard victorious and Poggy's march to success paused in the last couple of editions of the race. Riders were on the rollers before the uphill start, and the racing when it started was relentless. As a quality breakaway group worked hard and dreamt of success, this time UAE sat back on the road to Plateau de Bay. Visma Lease bikes seemed intent on making the race as difficult as possible though, and committed a full team to chase and then pace. 5 riders were ahead on the final 15-kilometre long climb, but Kelderman and then Jorgensen rode their hearts out. The stage was again going to the favourites. But which one would it be? Vingegaard predictably then attacked, but with over 10 kilometres still to go. His rival in yellow was straight onto the wheel. The rest weren't in the shot, and for another year this was clearly now a 2-horse race. Pogačar stayed on the wheel and wasn't shifted by the many accelerations put in by the winner of the last couple of tours. Then, just outside 5Ks from the finish, it was time for the Slovenian star to try to finish the job. Riding away with gusto and power, surpassing even his own legendary exploits, putting in one of the back-to-back high mountain climbing performances of all time. Another stage win, another minute and a bit added to the lead, and trying to do the double, Pog has already achieved a double. 2 climbing records on 2 famous mountains, and the yellow jersey on his back, fitting beautifully with 6 stages to go. Stats, sequences, records are falling or are being rewritten. Professional cycling is in an era of exceptional talent and competition. The most talismanic of the lot, Tadej Pogačar, continues to lead the way. We'd be here all day talking about those numbers, but 17 wins from 46 race days this season. A quarter of his Grand Tour stages ridden in 2024 have resulted in wins. That's now 33 days leading Giro and Tour, and there might well be more to come. It's 3 minutes and 9 seconds of a lead going into the final 6 stages. Stranger things have happened than a turnaround, and Vingegaard has taken sackfuls of time in no time in the past couple of years. But Pogačar is looking good in the lead. Evenepoel sitting comfortable in third. That's how the Tour looks going into the last week. Now the racing was also pulsating over in Italy. The Giro D'Italia women had started with Elisa Longo Borghini exchanging her Italian champions jersey for the famous Maglia Rosa. The Lidl Trek star's first day in the lead of her home Grand Tour ended with compatriot Chiara Consonni's 4th win of the road season. A sprint stage that saw the world champion Lotta Kopecky beaten by the speedster riding on home Lombardy roads. The riders then headed south of Reggio Emilia and into the Apennine Hills for the first uphill finish. A 12.5-kilometre climb to the top at Tuano saw real gaps open up. Not all fast riders lost contact though. 23-year-old Kiwi Niamh Fisher-Black would take the biggest win of her career, but behind, Kopecky hung on to a group including the leader. The seeds of the week's big GC fight were being sown. Many a race has been held at Imola, and this Giro Stage 4 would prove to be tricky even for the best of engines. 3 categorised climbs inside the final 50 kilometres around Urbino saw the rainbow and pink jerseys have a go at each other, but again been matched on time behind, as Canada's Clara Edmond won her first ever pro race and won it from a breakaway. EF Education Cannondale's first success of the week, as fellow US team Lidl Trek still held the lead. Longo Borghini's 13-second gap to Este Works Kopecky was cut by the 10 bonus seconds taken on the line in Foligno, as a bunch sprint threatened to change the course of the race. 3 days to go and 3 seconds in it. What would be next in what was turning out to be a Giro that you couldn't take your eyes off? A hilly Abruzzese stage, finishing on the steep rise to Chieti was the answer. Liana Lippert had endured a tough start to the season, with a stress fracture forcing her to delay her return to racing. Once back, the wins that came so often last season failed to return with her. But this is where it all changed. A Giro stage added to her Tour success from last year finally kick-started her 2024. Yet again, there was nothing to separate the top two in the GC behind. Blockhouse surely would, however. It's an ascent that's part of cycling history, and it was to be taken on after a first climb up Passo Lanciano, which isn't too far from the top anyway. So almost a double blockbuster. Australian climber Neve Bradbury took the stage honours for Canyon SRAM, but with Kopecky hanging on ahead of Longo Borghini for second, a difference of 2 bonus seconds served up the possibility of a Hollywood finale. A single second of a lead for an Italian in the Maglia Rosa going into the final stage of the Giro. The rugged terrain seemed to suit Longo Borghini more on the way to L'Aquila, but the same could have been said about the mega climbing on the way to Blockhouse. For the final time, the attacks came, and this time, as Kimberly Lecourt-Pinard went away to her first ever European win, Elisa Longo Borghini would put distance and time between herself and her closest challenger to win the Giro d'Italia by 21 seconds. Bradbury joined the top two on a brilliant final GC podium. Wearing the Maglia Rosa from start to finish, it was the performance of a career that's already seen 6 other stage race victories, 2 Flanders, a Roubaix, a Strade Bianche, and countless other bits of success. What's next, you might ask? Well, the target is the Olympic Games.
Well, what a Giro that was. We've already had the Vuelta and the Giro. The Tour de France Femmes is up next, but before we get there, we go to the Olympic Games. And ahead of that, we thought we'd catch up with Alison Jackson. Yes, that Alison Jackson of Paris-Roubaix fame.
One of the teams that's been animating the last couple of stages of the Tour de France is EF Education Easy Post, and nicely enough, as we're close to Andorra, close to the border in Spain also, Alison Jackson, great to see you here, supporting teammates on Bastille Day with Richard Carapaz in the breakaway.
I'm just a big fan of the pink team. Yeah, but no, staying, I mean, it's so cool to be a part of the atmosphere, and also when your teammates are making the race happen. Yeah, we're so close. We're just waiting for the next big thing from the boys.
From the boys, the girls did it a few days ago with Clara Amond, who won a stage in the Giro d'Italia in some fashion as well.
Yeah, you know, she's been knocking on the door, taking a lot of chances in some early breaks, early moves, and we just keep telling her at some point, you know, it's gonna pay off, but you have to, you know, try. You have to try, and that's what we also see these guys doing too. Getting in the break, trying to make something happen. But yeah, so great to see the girls in such a hot Giro. And yeah, they had their all good and bad luck too. But yeah, great for Canada as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of Canada, it's not long to go until the Olympic Games. I know you've been on a training camp in Andorra over the last few days in preparation. You've got your final preparation race coming up. What does the next couple of weeks look like for you, Alison?
Yeah, no, it's been great spending some time in the mountains and having to do a little extra special heat training to get ready for Canada.
I did see something about that. Tell me more.
I mean, it's a thing that a lot of teams are doing, but basically it's like trapping in that white painter's suit, heat suit, and sweating as much as you can just to be able to manage the heat. But anyway.
How long did you last in that kind of suit? How long is a session?
Yeah, we do like about an hour on the indoor trainer. Yeah, so it creates a lot of Sweat.
A lot of sweat. But this is all in preparation for the Olympic Games and the Olympic road race, which you'll be representing Canada in.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big goal. That's the next one that's coming up for me. I'll go to Baloise Tour, so in Belgium, to do a bit of race prep. And then, it's all in for that Olympic road race. Looking forward to that experience. You know, I was in Tokyo, which was a dream come true for me. The Olympics mean so much to Canadians. But now I get to go when it's a real, people can come and watch, and it's going to be like a real community, like Olympic feeling. So, it's exciting.
Very, very exciting. It's exciting to see you here, and I'm sure the boys will be doing you all proud on both the women's side and the men's side of this Tour de France. Still 1 week to go, and they're always animating the race. Alison, thanks. Enjoy yourself. Good luck with all the training, and best of luck with the Olympic Games. Thank you.
Thank you.
Canada's Alison Jackson there, speaking to our very own Hannah Walker. Now, at the Tour de France, we have seen history made just about everywhere. It's been a record-breaking day of sorts at almost every single stage, none more so than on day 3 in Turin. It seems a lifetime ago, doesn't it? But Biniam Girmay became the first ever black African rider to win a stage of the Tour. He's since won 2 more for his nation, Eritrea, who have more than any other African nation so far. On that front, it has been a sensational tour, so that deserved a catch-up or two with him and the other record breaker, Mark Cavendish, 35 stages now to his name. Biniam Girmay and Mark Cavendish spoke to our experts on the ground at the Tour de France.
It's for Netflix.
Oh, this is what you want, but Delise on his case. Here comes the Belgian champion. Girmay is on the barriers here. It's going to be a 3 throw to the line. Oh, Biniam has done it. That is amazing. Oh, Girmay kicks back and says thank you very much. The power of the green jersey is delivered.
To have 2 victories in the first week, the green jersey also to win stage, it's fantastic. I'm just really proud of what I'm doing.
There is Mark Cavendish through the centre. He's hit the front here. Mark Cavendish is there. This is history. First there was Max, now it's Mark Cavendish.
From a couple of years ago, I still have Cavendish and Peter Sagan on my bedroom stickers. So, I couldn't believe, just to see him winning in the same time with you, and then to wear also the green jersey. I'm just super proud and super happy for myself also, because he's 39 and then I'm 24. So imagine the time difference. Just at that time, I'm really happy, to be honest.
You make history, it's for Africa and for Intermarché. You know it, Bini. Bini.
For me personally, in my time, there is not a black rider who win on the Tour de France, but for sure I have to put a picture of Sagan or Cavendish, because they are really big of inspiration in my generation. But now, to see myself like those guys, I didn't do what they are doing yet, because I just starting racing when I was 18 years old in Europe. So to improve in this short career and then to win 2 stages, to wear the green jersey, and then to be one of the big symbol of Africa, it's just a big pressure, I know, but it's the other hand, it's really big power for me to push me behind.
Mark Cavendish lights it up. Oh, it's getting brutal. Oh, photo.
Cavendish going all the way. Cavendish makes it 33 with another chapter to the fairy tale. Mark Cavendish, the world's best, the greatest of all time, sprints to victory again. And if we weren't talking about that record before, we certainly will now.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't use that as a goal. I think in life you need a goal. You need that motivation to get out of bed, to put 100% into every single thing you're doing. And If you can set a specific, realistic point to do that, it's going to make that process a lot easier. And I guess I was able to use that.
Mark Cavendish, a shot at glory, a chance for immortality in cycling terms.
I picture the final in my head and I play it through and I play it through and I play it through, and it's subconsciously doing it. I don't know I'm doing it. And that's when I know that everything else is in place, so it's down to me really. You know where you have to be, so you just stay relaxed, you follow. I knew Ackermann had jumped. The problem is you have to wait for him to jump because he's quite unpredictable. So you have to wait for him, then you know which way he's going to go and you can pick your side. I was waiting for something to come and I could see the line coming. I didn't. Yeah, it was very nice.
This is history! Mark Cavendish, the greatest of all time!
As you're crossing the finish line, it's the same as any other time, really. Yeah, I thought I'd be bouncing a lot more than I was. I was bouncing when I was with the boys and that, but it's almost a relief as much as joy. You haven't really got time to absorb it. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't let you celebrate and then wait till you're ready and then carry on. It carries on the next day. You've got a job to do. So we have to just carry on like that and try and win what we can.
Talk to us a little bit about how you thrive under the most immense pressure as well, because the higher the pressure, the more intense the situation, that's when you seem to thrive.
I don't know any different, and to put it into perspective, Matt, it's just bike racing, do you know?
It's high stakes though, it's risky.
You've got paramedics who the pressure on them's probably a little bit higher. You've got our armed forces that the pressure on them's a lot higher. And actually, my wife with 5 kids, the pressure's a lot higher, and I put it in perspective, and it makes it quite easy to deal with, really. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I felt it. I felt it every year at the Tour de France. If you win a stage or the team wins a stage, there is a slight pressure lifted. You know, just have to get on with it. And it sounds a bit unromantic. But ultimately, it's not just myself that's put the work in and the sacrifice this year. My team has as well. My boys have been away from their family for most of the year. The staff have been up to all hours, making sure the equipment is spot on. And we have a job to do.
You said it's your last tour. You're going to enjoy the rest of it. Have you got any idea what the next chapter might look like?
I'll never just relax, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I always have to put everything, all of me, into everything I do. It just won't be with a bike underneath me now, so. I think being a husband and a dad is going to be my main concern, I think. Being home, being able to go on the bouncy castle, being able to play football, being able to do the school runs. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, that's it. The Euros and the Copa America might be over, and football, we know, is synonymous with VAR. But it continues in cycling. The UCI has its own version, and we sent Hannah Walker to find out exactly how it works.
Back in 2018, the UCI introduced video assistant refereeing, and inside this van here is the control room, all eyes for the UCI on the races. Initially, it was implemented for the 3 Grand Tours, the Giro D'Italia, the Tour de France, La Vuelta A Espana, the 5 monuments, as well as the UCI Road World Championships. Now, inside here, we're going to have an exclusive look at what goes on behind the scenes. Come and join me. At the heart of the UCI VAR system during this Tour de France, it's Alan Kozigzas. He's the UCI TV support commissaire. The equipment available to the UCI TV support commissaire is similar to that of an OB van, an outside broadcasting van, but with some special adaptations, because here Alan is able to slow the footage down, he's able to zoom in, he's able to rewind to have another look at it, but he's also got the ability to record certain sequences if he needs to have another look at what's been going on during the race. So behind here, this is where all of the footage that is received is stored on these incredibly powerful servers. All of the stage is stored, and after the stage is finished, all of the footage will be reviewed either that evening or the morning of the next day's stage. Once the next stage starts, all of the footage is deleted and erased, apart from that is selected specifically by the UCI TV support commissaire, which is always kept by the UCI, and you can see the notes that are being jotted down here by Alan. During the 2024 Tour de France, there's 16 camera angles that Alan has access to, 5 of those being the camera motorbikes, 2 shots from the 2 helicopters in the sky. There's 6 cameras on the finish line, you've got the 1 photo finish shot, you've got 1 camera at the start, and of course, he's got the international broadcast that he can keep a close eye on, and you can see just over my left shoulder here, all of the different camera shots that he's got access to be able to have the best view and overview of what's happening during a stage. In 2024, this truck will be present at more than 230 races, which is 26% more than it was in 2023. Overall, by the end of this season, there'll be more than 550 hours of footage that they've monitored, checked, looked at throughout all of the races, and the ratio is 60% to 40%, 60% being on the men's peloton, 40% in the women's peloton.
The VAR van and the UCI officials will be keeping their eye on everything for the next 6 days, the final 6 days of the Tour de France. You can keep your eyes on it too by subscribing to our Eurosport Cycling YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. The breakaway's here every single day, and we'll be here in the studio on the commentary as well. If you have to miss anything, a reminder that you can catch up live on demand and with our timeline markers to view every incident when it happens and rewatch it too, using Eurosport and Discovery+. What's to come this week? Well, 6 days, starting with 1 for the sprinters. Stage 12 to Nîmes, 188 kilometres, should be that final chance for the fast men, but look out because the wind is blowing. Then 2 days that could go to the breakaway, but you never know with the way they ride nowadays at the Tour and the way that things can always change in the mountains. Yes, it looks almost nailed on for Pogačar, doesn't it? More than 3 minutes, and it's been a while since a gap like that was turned around in the final 6 days. But we're talking Vingegaard, Evenepoel's there as well, and a last day time trial in Nice. You're not going to miss it, are you? All of our experts will be along. A reminder that Eurosport and Discovery Plus is the home of cycling. We look ahead too to the Olympic Games and the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift. That's along in August too. And before you know it, it'll be the Vuelta. We don't stop here, but the Tour doesn't stop here either. Thanks for watching so far. Stick with us, and we'll see you all the way to the end in Nice. For now, from the Gruppetto, goodbye.